Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday, the 9th of October. Continuing to reflect on some of the prophecy of Ezekiel, he's spoken God's word of judgment on the people of Israel, and now towards the end of the book, he starts bringing a word of hope, and he's talking about the restoration, that they'll come back to the promised land. And in chapter 36, verse 22, God speaks through Ezekiel and says, "Therefore say to the Israelites, this is what the sovereign Lord says. It is not for your sake, people of Israel, that I'm going to do these things, but for the sake of my holy name, which you have profaned among the nations where you've gone. I will show the holiness of my great name, which has been profaned among the nations, the name you have profaned among them. Then the nations will know that I am the Lord, declares the sovereign Lord, when I am proved holy through you before their eyes. For I will take you out of the nations, I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your own land." And so there's this promise of restoration, the promise that they'll be brought back, and there's this growing hope in the book. But it's not because the Israelites deserve it. It's not as though they had this coming to them. It is entirely because of God. They don't deserve it, but God will do it. And I was struck by the way he talks about his holy name, which has been profaned among the people. And I immediately called to mind the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." And it raised the thought in me, in what way do our lives hallow his name, show him to be holy, and show the greatness of the God we serve? Unfortunately, too often Christians have the opposite. They claim the name of Christ and live lives which are completely contrary. And so often in the world today, Christians are looked down on because of that history, because of the number of people that have essentially let the side down, let God down in what they do. And we need to pray that our lives will be lived in a way which glorify God, that we won't be loudly proclaiming that we are Christians, but our lives will be showing it. That people will look at us and say, that love, that compassion, that generosity, that forbearance, all those characters within you speak to something extraordinary. And at that point we can say, well, that's God. I walk with him and he guides me, and I try and live as best I can according to his word. And so if there's any good in my life at all, it comes from him. And so I pray that our lives would entice people and glorify God. Be encouraged as you walk with him. Pray to him to help you day by day, that all of us will live lives that will hallow his name, and be blessed.